Harrietsham Parish Council meeting in June. Apologies for not being here last month, but I was away in Spain on holiday. Before we have the public discussion, we'll just have anything from Martin, Community Warden, and the PCSO Boyd. If there's anything. You guys go on first, then.
Thank you. Good evening on a lovely summer's evening. Yes. There was a total of 10 crimes in the area this last month. There was we had a couple of burglaries of barns, garages, Runham Lane. There's a theft of copper piping and cylinders. There's theft of lawnmower strimmer on West Street. The Fairbourne Lane theft of vehicle that was later recovered. There's an incident on the M20 to do with that, and I think an officer was injured, but that was later recovered. There was a vehicle interference in West Street. That was the front of the quarter light was just damaged. Nothing else happened to know about. And there's 2 large plant pots were stolen from down the Ashford Road. There was 35 incidents reported to the police on 101 and 99, including those for the month. That's slightly down on last month. There's 1 RTC on A21 at Chegworth Road, and 1 report of bad driving. And that's normal. I would urge everyone, please, to anything suspicious of any sort, ring it into 101, please, and then we know about it.
That's good news. We've got a safe village apart from flower pots. So chain your flower pots down. Oh yeah. Any questions, anyone? Thanks very much.
Good evening, everyone. Following on from what John said, and something I mentioned last month, I've put an article into the network and the Focus at Lenham, and part of what the article says is trying to encourage people to ring things in at the time. I know I've said it before, I will keep saying it. It's very important that if someone rings in straight away, if they see a suspicious person or a suspicious vehicle, then obviously the police have got a better chance of being in the right place at the right time. A couple of other things I wanted to mention was we've been asked by our Kent Support and Assistance Service to mention this item. What they're saying is every year some families get into financial hardship. And part of the reason for that is that they either can't or don't renew their tax credits. What our service is trying to head off is a double whammy. So if we can include it in the minutes, perhaps, and try and remind people to renew their tax credits, because if they haven't renewed them by the end of July, not only do the tax credits stop, the double whammy is that the families have to pay back what they've been in receipt of since April. So our unit is trying to head off a potential problem by getting the tax credits renewed on time, and then they haven't got to run round at the 11th hour doing food parcels and things for people. But it's obviously not the children's fault. It's obviously down to the parents, but sometimes they need a bit of a job. And finally, one of our local residents who's heavily involved in the British Legion has emailed a list of events that are coming up. There's one a month over the next 4 months, and this one I've actually emailed to the clerk as well. It's for military veterans over the age of 65, and they're running a series of events, as I say, one in July, one in August, one in September and October. Sort of like a well-being and health events and different things that might be of interest to ex-servicemen that they're running. They're in different places, the British Legion Village obviously, the Gallagher Stadium in Maidstone, Cyclo Park in Gravesend and Chamberlain Manor at Ashford, so hopefully it's quite a broad spread of venues. So just wanted to mention that and give it a bit of a plug.
Is that the contact on that?
The contact is Mike Bishop.
Is that our Mike Bishop?
Yeah. Yeah. So Amanda's got an email address and a phone number, so that if you know of anybody, you can refer them to him.
I think we're going to put it on Facebook.
Even better. And that's it for me.
Anyone got any questions? No? Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you can excuse me, I need to talk to John about something.
Thank you.
About the England defence, I suppose. See if you can find them, that's been
No,
stopped.
not that long.
We now have 15 minutes of public discussion. If anyone's got any questions, no pressure, it's my wife's birthday, so if we can skip through that very quickly. I'll probably have a complaint about saying that, but anyway. 15 minutes, anyone got any questions? I didn't mean that really. If anyone's got any questions, please ask. You can have a chop. Anyone that doesn't ask the question can have one of those chocolates. There's a bit of bribery. Right. Okay then. If there's nothing else, we'll move on to the agenda. Apologies for absence. Eddie Powell, Councillor Powell, and Councillor Stephen Morris. Right, decision to discuss agenda 19 under closed session. 19 is complaints received by the Parish Council. So I propose that it is in a closed session. It's just members of the Parish Council. Anyone wants to second that? All in favour? Any of those against? We've done a closed session later on at the end. Thank you. Next, minutes of the last meeting. Parish Council meeting the 27th of April.
This is because we couldn't sign up for the last meeting because we didn't have enough councillors present that have been at the meeting before. So that's the
I think that was down to the
there's 2 people on holiday.
the deputy chairman. Right, another proposer?
Right, hang on, were you at that meeting there?
You
Can
checked.
just check who was
Yeah, it
there?
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the seconder?
Were you at the meeting?
Yes.
One of you was at the meeting.
There were half each.
Yes, I was at
You can second half of it. Who wants to second the other half?
No, that's fine. So then all in favour will be 1, 2, 3, 4.
All in favour?
Yeah.
Right, the second set. Parish Council meeting on 25th of May, where the chairman and the vice chairman were both missing. It was good planning. It was the vice didn't check with the chairman.
And vice versa. Someone propose, please.
I was in another world.
Opposed.
That's all right. Just minutes from May.
Oh yeah,
And someone
it was
second.
well chaired.
People generally drift away when I'm talking.
Extremely well
Oh,
chaired.
carry on. Is everybody else in favour
Yeah.
that was there? Right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Thank you. Agenda number 5, declarations of interests. Any changes to the register of interests? No. Declaration of pecuniary interest. And request for dispensation? Rapid through. Right, number 6, co-option of councillor. One, which is Jackie Moore. Jackie is known to most councillors. She is currently co-opted to assist on the planning committee. If no councillor has any questions, they need to ask Jackie, and we just go straight to someone proposing and seconding her being co-opted.
I wanted to do that. I was alive to that.
So, we've got a proposal and a second. Is everyone in favour of Jackie being co-opted?
Yes.
May take your seat. And you get a cushion as well. And a chocolate. You officially have a chocolate now.
It's the only way we can get them chocolates.
7 is planning. I'm not planning to go. I'm only here for one night. I'm not planning to go through planning. Unless anyone's got some burning desire to. So we're straight on to 7.4. Recommendations from the planning committee. Councillor Trotter?
Okay. We had a report from the planning committee that I drafted. Can I assume that you've all read it, so that I don't have to go through a speech? Then it just falls to me to say, can I put the first motion to the vote that Harrietsham Parish Council does not and will not approve the use of Woodlands Walk as access for pedestrians and cycles from the proposed development of land to the south of Courtwright Road.
Ask a question, Mr. Chairman. Why is these motions coming before this committee, the full council?
I suggested that. And the reason I suggested that was obviously 2 members of the planning committee live close to the site. So I felt it was more appropriate that this was brought before the parish council.
Thank you.
But they have got dispensations to
Yeah,
talk
but I
about.
still...
We have.
Yeah.
I agree with what Amanda said. I should have said other than questions before, so sorry for that, Tom. Were there any more questions before I ask you to vote on that one? No? In which case, could I have a proposal? Second?
No, I'll do a second. I'll put what I saw Mike first. I'll put you a second.
Okay. Those in favour? Those against?
Can I put your hands up again? Got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, I think we will stay.
So then we start against. And then abstentions.
That would be our
So
strength.
that would be 4.
So what was it?
Five.
And on a similar vein, the use of Pilgrim's Lake, that's owned by the Parish Council, to be used as a place to tip the surface water that will inevitably go there. Any questions on 2.1, which is what I've just said? Any questions?
This coming to this committee,
Same, because we are adjacent to it. I think one thing should be said here, and you two have seen the effect of rainwater going into the first lake of 2 Pilgrims Lakes. And I guess that's what happened with this one. So could I have a proposer for that? Thank you. Second?
So who put that in?
All in favour? Okay. This is the second, item 2.2. I'd like to just try to explain that. You've got a map. They haven't said which one that they would use if they got planning permission. But I think that what do they call it? An infiltration basin. They've been banned in the United States. The rainwater runs off into that. And it can either be very low or non-existent, or overflowing. So there's no control over the water that goes into it. Now, I think that's not a very good solution, because it's very close to the Whitlands Route footpath that the Parish Council own. It could overflow on that and into the Whitland, and maybe into the lake itself. So I did suggest that although we can't pass a motion, we can't vote, but we could, because we'll send a letter to Maidstone Borough Council on these two votes. I did suggest that we could agree that we don't consider it to be a viable solution. We can't vote on that. I think we should include that in our council, unless anybody disagrees with us.
What would be their alternative, do you think? What their alternative is?
I don't know. Run it into the sewage system, I guess.
You can't do that.
They did with this place over here.
They're not avoiding.
But that's not our concern.
No, just
Okay, thank you for that. I think that's done. Okay.
Number 8, communications, no recommendations. Number 9, environmental, no recommendations, but we normally meet bi-monthly, but we're actually meeting on the 7th of July, only to discuss the amenities contract, and that's not to discuss, it's not to discuss the actual contract. It's how we're actually monitoring it, because until we've got a amenities manager in place, then we've taken a contract each. There's 6 of us, we've each taken a contract. 6 on the environmental committee, we've taken a contract each, and then we look at every time any work's been carried out by HEVA, they update me, I dissipate that information to the others, and then they go around and make sure it's been done. So we've slipped one in on the 7th of July, so we can all get up to speed on that. But obviously their first, I've got to say a big thank you to HEVA, because they really pulled it around. I mean, they were sort of 2 months behind schedule, but they've managed to pull everything round and get everything back on track for the end of this month. Unless someone told me otherwise, they are on track to complete those works by the end of June, so which is tomorrow. So unless I hear from them, anyone else, I think they've done a really good job.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does the contract include the clearance of nettles from footpaths as well in certain places?
Possibly.
Because that's an area
Depends
that's,
which.
well, specifically the footpath between the A20 and Harrietsham Meadow. No, it's not included in that, okay.
A lot of the stuff you'll find on the contracts is actually not our responsibility. It's actually Maidstone, but highways. But we decided so that we could keep the village looking nice. We would take it upon ourselves to do it, rightly or wrongly. But I think rightly, we want the village to look nice. The amount of times they would cut the grass along the A20, it would be that high between cuts. So that hence the reason why a lot of the work people might say, why are we doing this? That's the reason. We go up to Victoria's and down to the cut, down to the volleyball, where the cut, that's as far as we. So if you notice that it gets cut and stops, that's as far as we leave that to Hollywood if they want to do it. That's really it from the environmental. Unless anyone else has from the environmental. Okay. 10, finance.
Well, I don't think there's anything to report on this. We've got the financial report, Unless anybody's got any questions for Mike. But I would say one thing that probably you're not aware of, and I'll ask Mike to explain it. We have transferred some of our money to the NatWest Bank. If you look at the money bit of the financial statements, you'll see that we're calling the balance that was on the general fund at the end of last year, which was 49,640. We put that into what we are now calling a reserve fund. The reason for that is we would like to keep within the budget that we set ourselves. So the theory is, if we do, that general fund will go down to zero at the end of the year. So Mike's transferred the amount on the reserve fund. You've done it. Thank you very much. Explain it for me.
Basically, we had two driving factors. One was under the current compensation arrangements, the government will only cover you up to 75,000, so we couldn't leave all the money with the NatWest. And the second was the NatWest interest rates were falling. So it was find a different bank, a better interest that isn't in the same banking group as the NatWest, which is the Bank of Wales, Bank of Scotland, what they are. So we opened up a business instant access saver account with the Nationwide Building Society. I have a cheque here for £49,640, which will be the initial deposit, which is nice and simple because it means we've got a general reserve tucked away with somebody else. We can forget about it and just put the interest. I was going to say rolling up, but we'll go for falling.
Would you like to tell us what the comparative interest rates are?
With the Nationwide, I know, are paying 0.8%. I think the equivalent for NatWest was something like 0.1%.
Thank you. That's that.
Can someone propose